a small girl can drop a big guy because of the leverage principle. What I realized when I started to practice Systema, I became more, first of all, became more relaxed. I became more attuned with my own body.
Yeah, hello and welcome, Systema Uppsala. It's a great honor to have the chance to talk to you through this online format. And yeah, welcome, Alexander.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit, how you started on your path, how you get into martial arts, and why you keep training it. You're around the Systema scene for quite a while. And yeah.
Yeah, simply here in Uppsala, when I came to Sweden, when I was young, 10 years. I had really hard with trying to learn the language and stuff like that. And basically what you end up in really ghetto because it's cheaper to live there, and it's basically for your parents was easier to get jobs. So those fancy buildings and stuff, it wasn't really the start that you get. So because of that, there was more crime around the city, and my area that I left was living in. So when I started to get in trouble with kids and stuff like that, my mother started to get worried. So what she did was she was checking around and try to find any schools that I can learn how to be more confident or protect myself and stuff like that, because she had started to see the news and all the crimes that is around the area. And basically, I didn't know anything about martial art then, so I wasn't even interested in martial arts. And there was no Systema. When I came to Sweden, I never heard anything about Systema. There was I think the only I've seen is a couple of videos on YouTube about karate and stuff like that. So and when the clubs here in Sweden, they was not cheap either. There was a monthly cost of about 1,000 krona here. So it was quite hard to get into a good club. And I didn't have any friends to practice myself with, so it was a rough start at the beginning. But when I went to school here in Sweden, then I meet my best friend Andre, and then I already was practicing karate. I've been practicing karate about like 7 years, Kyokushin karate here in Sweden, and we started to practicing that together. He didn't join the school. We just went outside and tried to learn teach each other what I have learned from my teachers from karate. Then it was later on I got in an accident. I was robbed and beaten really hard. So I tried to use the karate. So I'm not trying to say that karate doesn't work and stuff like that, but in that situation, it didn't help me anything. So I was home really disappointed after I went to the hospital, and I lost myself a little bit. Why didn't it was like traumatic? Why couldn't I protect myself in that situation? And my friend Andre, he was like that started the interest into Systema. He said, do you know that I think we should practice something that's more applied to the situation on the street or maybe in war, because if you have something that is being tested, it should work. Because karate really old. Many schools is not completely focused on street situations. It becomes like an art, like practice of an art.
And the Kyokushinkai karate is already one of the styles which is, from what I know, closer to reality. Like there is actually
yes,
like this.
but they don't teach you when a gang attacks you, when there's weapons involved and stuff like that, because what they don't teach you is psychology. Many schools forget the really crucial part is psychology, because you can teach cool things to a person, many things, how to you hit, many techniques, but when it comes to psychology, you can end up to be a victim anyway. And this actually happens all around the world. I like to search on the web or see those martial artists that practice. If there is videos out what happens on the streets, and many that practice, not many, but the videos that I've seen end up to losing because of the mentality is not there, and criminals have a different mentality than us. They don't care about what the consequences be, and if the school doesn't teach you how to think, how to practice that mentality, it doesn't matter how well you can martial arts, you can end up losing by your self-confidence. And so what happened was we started to look around, and when we were searching on the web, we found out Systema Vasiliev, or at that point, at that time it was Systema. It wasn't the Systema Ryabko, Systema Vasiliev. They worked together, so it was a Systema. And we thought, okay, it's Russian. We are from Russian, so we can speak the language. It was easier to understand what they tried to tell. And the videos that you can buy, there was also many videos on speaking Russian, so it was easy to get the knowledge. So we started to check around here in Sweden, and there was nothing. We could not find any clubs about the Systema. So we was very disappointed. Like, oh shit, what should we do? Should we go to try to get many work hard to get money and go for seminars, or and that was really hard with it on that time. Me and my friend, we still went in school and gymnasium, so we didn't work much. So and the situation here is just started to be getting worse. More crimes, more, and Sweden had really started to get problems with the newcomers, and how fast the crime rate started to blow up. So we started to think like, no, the best thing we can do is started to buy instructional videos and train by ourselves. And I'm really glad that Andre had the same fire inside him to always come and train with me. So we started to train together and buy all these videos, instructional videos, and started to contact the different instructors. And there was a seminar here, I think, if I remember correctly, Alex Kostik was here in Sweden. The seminar I joined quickly, and it was interesting seminar. And then there was schools that started I think it calls Vyun something. Let me see. It calls.
Is it Sibirski Vyun?
Sibirski Vyun, yes, Sibirski Vyun. But it was really high up in Sweden, so I didn't had the chance to go and visit them. So what happened was we started to practice. Then after a couple of years, we started to get our not our own school, but it's more like we found a building to hire, so we can have our stuff, and we started to slowly buy stuff like sticks and fake weapons and stuff like that, so we can practice more. Because outside here in Sweden, people a little bit, as soon as they see something with a weapon, it doesn't matter if it's a toy, they get really scared. So police and securities, they just jump on you directly and pushing you away. So this was happened. So we needed to have a building to train in, and then it became costly. So we like, if we need to continue, we need to start a study group. We need to have something that we get the income, so we can continue training and do what we do. And this is how we started. I think it was year 2011. We got our first study group that we started to train together. And there was a couple of students that come from different schools like karate, MMA, Thai boxing, kickboxing, and stuff like that. And it was quite interesting because the Systema has a different view on self-defense, more relaxation. If you practice like Vasiliev and Ryabko style, it's more like relaxation, breathing, that was really different from other schools. And because of the situation here in Sweden, we understood that we need to go focus on also human psyche and how to drop the stress level and how to be relaxed in a hostile situation. So slowly and surely, we started to try out different schools, buying those videos and try to see what they have to offer. And I realized that there's plenty of Systema schools that's started to pop up. So after like, I think year 2013, I think, yeah, it must be year 2013. So some that we first met the Systema Kadochnikov. That practice there it's still a Systema fundamental in there. Still, you can see the same roots, but they practice they focus very much on the physics and biomechanics than relaxation and breathing. And when I how can I say, when we tried that style, it was more for us, more understandable. You started to see why stuff works instead of just be relaxed and try to do those movements and try to keep relaxed. It was really interesting to understand why a small girl can drop a big guy because of the leverage principle or something like that. How you started to understand the balance much more through Kadochnikov Systema. So we started to focus much more on that style, and that's when it went. We just stuck with that style because it was more for us more understandable. We could understand much more what we're doing. And slowly but surely, we end up starting our own school here in Sweden because there was not many schools here. So we started our own school, and we got really interest. We had over 25 students, I think, that started to train with us. And after that, so it just kept growing and going on.
When you started martial arts, you were sharing that it was kind of the focus was on self-defense, basically, like it is for most people. And I don't know for you, but for me, it turned out like when I started practicing martial arts, especially Systema, but I also studied many other systems. I'm really interested in martial arts in general. I realized that there are much bigger gifts than just self-defense. Would you share if you have something like that where you realize like, okay, wow, this actually helps me in other areas of life. It's not just like we're not just, like moving around, hitting each other. There is other stuff happening that is actually like having a positive influence on our character, on our life, on our relationships. I don't know, how did that go for you?
Yeah, what I realized when I started to practice Systema, I became more, first of all, became more relaxed. I became more attuned with my own body because all those acrobatics and how to work on the floor and stuff like that, it teaches you to view the world differently. You started to see that your body has more to give you than just self-defense, of course. And also by when I started to practice self-defense or Systema, I became more confident in my abilities also, which gave me I became more relaxed, more self-aware, more my stress level dropped, and stuff. And Systema gave me a little bit more relaxed life. Because even what all around me is happening and happening here in Sweden with the crimes and stuff like that, I started to not be affected by it because I knew that I could protect myself, and I also I felt more like relaxed in different situations. Even when I come to Sweden, I was little bit afraid when different groups was like watching you, or you walking through big crowds through the metro and stuff like that, it was a little bit like tense. But Systema gave me this relaxation. My body wasn't tense anymore. And of course, I myself now working in Sweden as a public duty officer. It's ordningsvakt here in Sweden, and our goal is to work with people that maybe drunks. It's almost like a police job, but it's what's one step lower than police. And our job is to keep the order, public order in check. So there's no fights, no drunken draws and stuff like that. And Systema gave me a really help with my job, because I could work with the conflicts much easier. I wasn't afraid to go and talk to people and stuff like that. And Systema helped me a lot in my profession.
Yeah, I have the feeling that a lot of martial arts, traditional martial arts in general, you know, I'm also speaking about Kung Fu, Karate, you know, what are other kinds of martial arts? There is Filipino martial arts and all that. They all kind of seem to disappear slowly, and everything becomes like MMA and cage fighting. Jiu-jitsu is huge. Jiu-jitsu is great. I like jiu-jitsu. And but it's all like competition fighting. And is that the same thing in Sweden? And do you think that like also traditional martial arts, they have their value? They have you know, something that you might like. Cage fighting it seems obvious, like okay, you just like hit and throw and submit, but there are like certain aspects that you will never get if you stay in that bubble. Or like my question basically is, do you think there will be like some sort of, there's like phases, you know, like there is a phase now of cage fighting, and it's huge, and it's what most people do. I don't know in Sweden, but here is a lot of awesome martial arts schools that are closing down. They have great instructors who have sharing great moral values and respect and other things that are kind of like written between the lines, that are really important for a society, that are disappearing or having a hard time. And like cage fighting is growing and growing. And you see this in the face-offs, you know, they're really like many times they are not shaking hands, or they're really respectless, and they're shouting at each other. And in my opinion, this is really not what a martial artist should be like. And I wonder if there's going to be like a turning point or a comeback of martial arts, or self-defense systems that are including a more human perspective as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I also noticed that martial art now. Everybody try to become famous through martial arts, either through movies or either to cage fighting and stuff like that. And everybody's try to get to those schools that the teachers are focused on the easy money grab, you can say. And this what I realized also, that everybody's now is here in Sweden. There are two famous schools. They're MMA school or kickboxing. At least here in Uppsala, what I know. There was a boxing school, it disappeared. It was a kickboxing school, it disappeared. Kung Fu school, we actually shared a training, how can I say, training building together. And they just slowly, all the students dropped off and they disappeared. And those schools that survived, is focused on cage fighting and stuff like that. And I think it's more because it's give those martial arts, it's easier to get involved in getting money. So those as long as you can get money, you can get somebody that helps you, like how can I say, you get promoters, you know, they help you with the they help you on the way, those promoters. And as long as long as you can have somebody, as long as you can give money to them by winning fights, you can continue your martial arts. And the focus is now to be like a show. If you don't have a school that can provide this show to the outside world, this school will end up to close because you're not getting famous. And everybody now try to get famous through martial arts. If we focus on just martial arts, this is what I started to see. And MMA, it's so big right now, and that's why, and a lot of the easy money grabs there, as long as you have ability to get into the ring. And this is why MMA have become so big. They say it's MMA is famous because it has all the styles, but the MMA school that I see here in Uppsala, you cannot even call them a really MMA school, because they just teach you random stuff and drop you into the ring to be fast famous, and started to get money for the school. So the focus of the martial arts disappears. It becomes just a show.
Yeah.
How fast can you make a big show and become famous? And that's sad. But this is what I've started to see with martial arts schools.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for sharing. What I really liked about your story, what you were telling in the beginning, was that you basically you didn't really had a teacher, but you just did the work. You know, you received what information you could get learning through videos, and you just worked through it. And I have met like some students, for example, because I've been traveling a lot through the world and was visiting different martial arts schools, and I realized some students, they have amazing trainers. They are not even aware of how great their trainer is because they haven't been around so much. They don't realize. And you can have a great trainer and still suck. You can still be a bad practitioner just because you don't really engage. You don't really do the work. You don't really like, I don't know, me, I'm thinking about like movements and could this work, could it, until I fall asleep. And some people, they're like go out of time, and that's fine, you know, like everyone has their offer and what they have to do in life. They have other things that they want to do in life, and that's fine. But what I realized, it's not so much about the teacher. The teacher can be a great adding and that's really important, and it's a great thing to have a great teacher, but it's not necessary. And it's actually a good news. You can become a good martial artist. All you need to do is put in the work, and you can just find your friend and go start training. You don't need to. You can add. You know, like want to advance. It's great to see some good teachers, visit some seminars, but it's not necessary. Some people living in the village or wherever, and it's like, oh, we don't have a school here, so I'm never going to learn martial arts. And I think you're a good proof of that. This is crap. This is just excuses. If you want to become a martial artist, just train. Just go for it. Find the style you like and go for it, and get the good instructional videos and experience for yourself. Try it out. Even from a book, you could study. Yeah, I really like that.
And about the book, in Russia, when it was forbidden to teach martial arts, and so people spread around those karate books. That's why you can actually get to jail for. And underground, they practiced that and still became a good practitioner of karate. And this is because the interest and the interest for the martial art was so big in Russia. Even it was forbidden, you still practice. So exactly what you say, that it's just an excuse. Oh, we don't have a school, I'm never gonna learn. There is really good instructional videos from Vasiliev, from Ryabko, from Kadochnikov, that you just take your time. Of course, they're long. They're many hours you're gonna spend on it. But if you have the interest, you can learn it. And of course, if you by yourself, it's gonna be really hard. Then you have to find a way to practice by yourself. But if you have a good
In your
friend,
mind, also in your visualization, you can practice there.
yeah, exactly. You can have a tree, and you just put two sticks and start to train, like Wing Chun does. They have this wooden doll that they practice on, and you can do almost the same. If you want to practice ground fighting, you can buy this doll that you can practice ground fighting. It's all about how much you're interested to learn. You don't need to have a big school to be a good practitioner of what type of style you want to train. But of course, if you don't now Vasiliev, at least Vasiliev school, they are focused on English. So their DVDs you can learn by just watching and training with English. Ryabko, he had translation videos where they translate what he says, because from Russian to English. When it comes to Kadochnikov, there is now on YouTube, and it was for a while now, a really good translated instructional channel that what he teaches, they just translate directly to English. And there's lots of good videos there, focus on biomechanics, physics, and stuff like that. But of course, if you have difficult with the language, that you have maybe really hard for understanding the English, of course it's going to be really hard to even start learning Systema. I understand people that they say, "Oh, I'm not so good in English, so it's really hard for me." But still, if you want, you can find find a way to maybe start download an app that translates what they say, speaking.
Yeah, there will be a way.
Yeah, there's always a way if you want to.
Yeah. I've even been teaching someone from Switzerland through Zoom the other day. And also even that can work to some degree. So if you want, you're gonna figure it out.
Yes.
Nice. So another question I have is, what do you think about, like, you come from karate, where it's probably like quite strict techniques, and like this is how a hit is, this is how a punch is, this is how a kick is, to Systema, where it's especially like Systema Vasiliev, it's I mean, my experience with Vasiliev, he was basically like relax and breathe. Like this is like I can boil the teaching down to that, which is really tough as a beginner if you don't have much martial arts experience. It can be tough, relax and breath. I don't know how to do. And on the other hand, there's martial arts that are like really concerned about technique. The other one has none at all. And for example, I also studied combat system, which is like a mix, you know, like there are some basics that are really important that usually work most time for most people. Study these first, and then from there explore and play. What is your take on that? Like if you have a beginner, do you show them some basic techniques, or do you just let them breathe and figure it out by themselves? And what do you think about that? Technique versus free work.
In our school, we start with first see what student comes with. Everybody comes with his own luggage. So sometimes you need just like Kadochnikov said, I cannot teach you. I can give you the road. I can just push you the right way. If a student doesn't want to learn, you never gonna able to teach him. He needs to be open to what you're teaching. So what I look upon is like, okay, have you practiced martial arts before? What have you learned from that martial arts? If we had students that no, I never practiced martial arts and stuff like that. And what we start with in our school, we start with understanding the biomechanics and physics first, because everything you do, even if you do a soft work, you need to understand how body moves. What's the reaction of a human if you punch him? What's the reaction gonna be? Because if you just try to like imagine something in your mind, this is how it's gonna be, and then you attack a person, and it's not gonna be the same way. It destroys everything. It goes to a stop. And this is what I see in many beginning students, that they like they expect something to happen, and when it never happened, they like get stuck. And it becomes really, really easy to become a technique. They want to be, I usually say like a parrot, you know, parrot can repeat a word, but it doesn't understand what it's saying. And same here, it becomes like you see a cool move and they try to understand the move, but they repeat the move, but they don't understand it. And for us, it's really important to have a really good base. So as soon as you understand biomechanics and the basic physics laws that we use, like leverages and circular motion, and that's it. The world is have it like you say, if you like basic physics in our world that will not change. If you understand how to apply those physics, like leverage principle to win in when somebody is rigid and stuff like that, how to win this, overcome that rigidness. The student starts to understand more. And as soon as he started to understand, he became more relaxed. And after that, we started to get into this relaxation also. Because if what we saw in our development, in our school, I cannot speak for the other school, but in our schools, when we started to go with directly with the relaxation, like oh, I'm gonna teach you how to move on the floor correctly and relax, with students drops, they just jump off because they see it like non-practical, because the understanding of what it actually is, they come with a different goal into the training. Everybody comes to self-defense to learn how to protect themselves. So we teach relaxation like a mix. We bring in it with the self-defense aspect in it. And this is give our students more understanding of why you should be relaxed, not just be relaxed in a fight. The reason behind it, relaxation, the reason behind why you need to breathe. We have a pressure testing in our schools that not many schools have, unfortunately. Pressure testing is really, really important, what we see, because it teaches you to use those fundamentals like breathing and relaxation when you attack in higher speeds and stuff like that. And if you just begin with that and then started to go to like understanding the principles and the techniques, it becomes really confusing for a person that first started to learn relaxation. This is what me and Andre we started to see in the years we were teaching. So we changed our way we teach our students. We started to understand biomechanics and physics. Then we applied those principles that we use. And then when the students are understanding those, we now go to relaxation, breathing, and stuff that you see on the YouTube videos with the Kadochnikov and Ryabko style, or Vasiliev and Ryabko style.
Yeah, I find it quite impressive that you mentioned these as your main sources for understanding, because most of the time you see them training very slowly and very, how to say, compliant attackers. So usually attackers, very slow, very little resistance. And for me personally, I've learned a lot in those styles, but many of it I couldn't apply with more pressure. And I took very important lessons out of also training with Vasiliev, but this way of training I did for quite a few years, and it was falling apart when pressure testing for me. So I had to look and find other sources that were more applicable to me. And I think pressure testing is, at least if you train for self-defense, if you just say, oh, I just want to train for art and staying healthy and just keep moving, that's great. That's awesome. You don't need to pressure test. But if you want to be able to like this is the great thing about martial art, that it actually is not just like you stay fit and do something, but you actually have a skill that can support yourself or others in difficult situations. That's an amazing reason why I don't play tennis but train martial arts, because playing tennis is awesome, but you're only going to be able to hit the ball with a thing, you know, like, and it's great, but martial arts is gonna have so much more insight for me. And I'm really surprised that you have such a how to say, like, effective style. It seems to me like way closer to reality than what I would think, or what's my opinion of some of your instructors or your sources are. I think simply because of pressure testing. And I think Vasiliev and Ryabko and Kadochnikov, they had their pressure testing phases and their times, and I think they know exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it. But I guess as younger instructors compared to them, it's important to make their own experiences through pressure testing and figuring out. And then, yeah, I don't know, maybe when maybe there comes a time where I feel it's not necessary anymore, but to develop their own style and figure out what's actually fantasy, or have a very low, everything can work, but it has a low probability that it really gonna withstand pressure. And yeah, that's an important aspect that you mentioned. And I think this is also an important thing. Like, we don't need to do hard training every day or all the time, but once in a while you gotta check where you're standing, and to not live in a bubble, you know, not walking around and know a lot of fancy moves, but as soon as somebody turns up, it all falls apart. Okay, since your friend Andre is not here, we were actually supposed to have this first conversation together. Maybe there's something, like, is your best friend, you know him well, so maybe there's something that you want to add for him, like speak a little bit for him because he couldn't make it, he needs to do his work or whatever. Maybe there's something that you think he would like us to include in this conversation.
I don't know, actually. I cannot really speak for him, but uh, when me and Andre started to train, he had no knowledge of martial arts. Like I said at the beginning, I was training karate, and he was just there and helped me, and I taught him a little bit what I've learned from karate, and he actually is the goal why we started Systema. He came and showed me, like, you know, oh, look what Russian military training, this called Systema, and was really interesting. Yeah, so I don't know if he would. I think he would agree with what I'm saying. It's what the only different what we realized. Systema is he has, even we train together. His Systema is not completely identical what I have learned. What my Systema is, and our student says that also. He says, like, Andre's Systema is a little bit different. He more punching and more relaxed, and I'm more like using biomechanics and of balancing and the physics. And this is basically what because Andre is much stronger than me, and he has more easy to control a person with, like, punching and like say control of the body. And I need, because I'm not as strong as Andre is, I need to rely on my knowledge of how the body works. And so I think it's the only difference that he could say about the Systema, that his style, if you practice with Andre or me, you're gonna see, like, okay, I see the Systema style there, but there's a little bit difference in the styles. And this is why interesting that the style is, the roots are the same, but it's so many ways it can go, because Systema is not just a one way. It teaches you a different many ways to develop yourself in the style.
Yeah, and express yourself also. I think
Exactly.
every instructor should, at some point, of course, in the beginning, you just copy your instructor, trying to find your way and trying to understand what's possible, and then explore, find out what's not possible also. And but finally, you should find your own path and develop on that. And it's, I think it's a very good sign when a martial artist is becoming independent. and not stop copy pasting. Getting inspiration, great, but finally expressing the own. Some people are like, if you take 10 people that have no martial arts or fighting experience, and you start to engage them in a fight, some people will naturally tend to grab and to hold on somehow, natural grapplers, and some people start to push away or to punch, and that's just nature. And so
Yes.
it's really natural that some people are gonna be amazing grapplers and they're gonna be terrible at striking because it's not their nature. They can learn it, they're gonna get some level, but it's not gonna be their nature. And it's good to know your nature. I'm not just an example. There's many areas where you can find yourself inside and express that in a martial art is an amazing way to express yourself as well and to find yourself. Okay. Yeah. Any last words? I'm done with my questions. This was amazing, and I'm really glad to get the chance to talk to you. Actually, there's one thing I learned from your videos, which was like it's a long time ago. I've seen a video where you speak about 3 points of contact for breaking structure, something like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was an old video.
Yeah, yeah, it's an old video. It's a long time ago, and I have never explained that because I have the Kadochnikov videos, but I don't speak Russian, and the subtitles are terrible. And so that was that was something I think like 6, 7 years ago, maybe, where I've seen that video. Can that be? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I that was something really helpful. Like, yeah, it's actually what I do. Like every time I'm failing, it's because I just have 2 points of contact, or oftentimes. And if I have three or even more, like it's the success rate is going up. That was a really helpful insight. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome. No, that video that you're speaking of, it's on my it's not on our official Systema YouTube. It's on my just random page. It's that video is a reflection on Systema that you're talking about. That got many schools that have seen this video sent to me on the mail and said thank you for the video. It was really helpful because you talk in that video many things that is lost in a couple of videos because not many schools explain it. It's just they just show what they're teaching, but they not really explain what's happening.
And they
And
maybe also don't even know.
yeah, exactly. And because of I think because of I understand Russian and when I looking at the Kadochnikov videos, they explain much more in uh, physics, and they explain like, oh, because you need if you have a circular movement, you have to have a forces need to go like this. And when you understand this, not just try to push with one force, you need to push with two forces. Okay, person start to rotate, but if you need to drop him, now you need to apply balance. How does balance goes and stuff like that. And then when you, this is why our school is practically focused on is understanding why stuff works, and by understanding those, you can easily to start to work with the principles exactly what you say. 3 points of support is also when me and Andre started to train, we had many errors in our training. We're looking at the video and we don't understand why it in the video person falls. Here it doesn't falls. And when we started to practice, we go back to the videos and have we missed something. And sometimes you can watch a video and you get like 10% from the video, but you need to rewatch it a couple of times, and suddenly you get more and more information that you actually didn't focus on when you're watching the video. And this is what happens to me. I love to watch I like lots of DVDs at home that I bought, and I also have digital on my computer videos from Ryabko, from Vasiliev, that I go back and watch and see like, okay, this is what I understand. Okay, this is These are still that understand, okay, how can I see what can I do with this? So then me and my friend, we go outside or inside and we try to pressure test it and focus on see what's the goal of that special move that they do. So yeah, it's basically like that.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to, like, before we end is to say that there's many schools right now that I think is really sad that they try to go for a money grab. That I started to realize that they give this instructional courses within a week, 2 weeks, and that's, I think it's destroying the Systema, because a person that doesn't understand and gets the instructor certificate after 2 weeks, it's gonna be a bad school if he opens the school, because 2 weeks is too little to learn Systema. You need to actually focus, train, and you need to be involved with Systema and train, and not just learn some couple of moves and start. Because if that you get a student that have been practiced, let's say MMA, and he gonna put a pressure on you, it can be end up that you're gonna look stupid. That instructor is gonna look stupid because he didn't understand exactly in these 2 weeks what he was doing. So it can actually give a negative view on Systema, and this is what happens now. I see that Systema got this false, everybody call it false martial arts, because they don't understand it. Yes, Bushido. And when I started Systema, it looked really like, especially with Ryabko, he's so soft. He like just doing some move and people falling from him, and that became like, look, this is not practical and stuff like that. And if you go and understand what's the move and why he teaching in his way, you understand that what he's showing, especially when he goes like no touch with the hands, the person tries to grab him, he just moves and the person falls. It's more like he teaches you how to use your relaxation to control a person's body. Then you, of course, you have to apply something else if you go closer to the reality. But understanding is relaxation in that situation gives you really good knowledge to not get rigid and not get locked inside the cell. So this is what I think is so sad, that many that watching Systema, they see those videos, doesn't understand what they're looking at, never practice Systema, and they afterwards do videos and try to tell, look at this video, this is Systema, cannot be work, it's a fake, it's a money grab. And now that not many instructors, but there is instructors that sell Systema like a marketing, like, come and train with me for 2 weeks and you get instructor certificate. It's even getting worse, because it's just, I think, destroys what Systema is. It's became like a learn fancy move and go around and say that the Systema, and then if something happens, they say like, you see, Systema doesn't work, because in 2 weeks you won't be able to learn muscle memories. It takes time to learn muscle memories. When I teach my students, I say, you know what the reason why we go slow? And they say like, no, I don't understand. I say, if you go back when you was a child and you started to learn how to eat with a spoon, how fast were you? Could you speak, eat, and watch a movie? No. You were shaking, your mother needs to hold your hand and stuff like that. It takes time and it goes slow, and practice gives speed. The more you get into your muscle memory, the better you're gonna be, the more relaxed you be, because your body is gonna take over by itself. And the more, if you go back to the psyche and the stress level, if you haven't learned Systema that your body can think for itself in those stress tests, you're gonna end up doing basic stuff like start to swing around and try to grab. And this is what we see with people that come to Systema to us. and we go for the knife training. It's as soon as we talk about knife, everybody gets like happy, like, oh, yes, something cool. We learn about knife, but and we go like, now we're gonna go slow, and nobody attacks you slow. You need to understand first how the knife affects your psyche, how stressful it is for the body to have a metal object go towards you. And we also train with real knives, but we give the real knives to students that has really good knowledge of what they're doing, because even in our school, accidents do happen. We had people that got cut and was going to the search medical help, and because of mistakes when you go for the real knife. But training with the real knife is also important, because it's as soon as you get a real knife towards you, you can see your body reacts differently. And this is also the problem is when people come from different schools that they teach them knife defense and they only practice with toys. It's end up that they as soon as a real knife comes towards them, they get tense, because they not practice how to relax, how to deal with the stress level that a real knife does. And even if you have a friend with you that holds a knife and you know this friend is not going to hurt me, it's still, as soon as he goes towards you slow, it still affects your body in a different way. And this is why I like with Systema so much, that it teaches you how to deal with it.
Right.
It teaches you if you breathe, if you relax, if you calm down, your mind gonna open up. And when I was training karate, we had some sessions with training knives. As soon as you get closer to higher levels, and there was a like basic like hit like this, nothing about how your body will react with a real knife. I myself have been attacked with a real knife. I have had 2 times a person tried to rob me. I have been experienced violence towards me, even in job when I do with security work or ordningsvakt here in Sweden, because our job is go to those situations where it's conflict and deal with it and stop the conflict. And Systema gave me really how to deal with myself, because it's not just dealing with the person, deal with yourself, because if somebody is screaming at you and you have your adrenaline level up here, you won't be able to think rationally. And many martial arts don't teach you that, how to drop that level of adrenaline, how to get back to yourself. And the Systema teaches that. Systema teaches that how to relax, how to go back to your understanding. Because if the fear factor and adrenaline controls you, it doesn't matter how well you learn your karate or kickboxing or you learn Systema. If you cannot control that, you're gonna get a blackout in your mind. You're gonna get locked, and the only what's gonna come out is your self survival skills. It's like what body knows to survive is grabbing, like you explained, or pushing, because they don't control themselves. And this is why I see it with many of schools that teaches instructional activities. Here, buy my instructional activity and you instructor it in 2 weeks, or come to my courses, instructor in 2 weeks. I think that is really bad for Systema, because first of all, it's gonna give false confidence to a person. And in 2 weeks, you'll not be able to learn about yourself. Systema is understanding yourself and how to deal with the environment you live in. And many people see it's just like a fancy moves, that's it. And that's what I saw on YouTube now, that Systema gets so bad vibe around the martial arts. They're like, look what they're teaching, it's not practical, it's not real. You can make Systema real if you have the goal to make it real. You need to practice in real environments. You need to have a friend that can be aggressive towards you, and you need to go actually and practice with as soon as you get the knowledge like of grappling, Systema grappling and stuff like that. Do more resistance. Do more realistic scenarios and stuff like that. Of course, in training you can go so far. You cannot go 100%. And I'm not recommending to everybody, like, if you want to learn how to be a good in conflict situation, go and be policeman, go security. But so some people that practice Systema, they never gonna experience. They maybe live in an area that is really calm and nice area. They maybe never gonna be experience that type of violence towards them. So if they practice Systema in this calm environment all the time and relaxation all the time, what I see is not giving them full potential of the Systema. It's just the Systema is like an iceberg. It's just they getting just the top, not the whole picture. So
Right.
yeah, and this is why I want to say that this is so sad with Systema right now. It's why it gets so bad view on from the martial arts community. They're like, oh, I would recommend you to go and practice boxing instead of Systema, because Systema is just some party tricks and stuff like that. And yeah, to all my students that comes from different schools, I have many like Aikido, kickboxing and stuff like that, and boxing, and they come and stay because they say like, oh, I've seen System on YouTube, but what you teaching is completely different. I say, no, it's not different. We just focus on to learning System of what it is, not just find a fancy moves.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. So if you are around Sweden and looking for a good school, check it out. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I'm really, if you want to push this knowledge and push this style and want to see martial arts coming back, then you can, of course, support this by leaving a comment and sharing this video. This was very valuable exchange, and I thank you very much. And yeah, I hope to train with you at some point. And yeah, see how it goes.
Maybe I visit Germany someday.
You're always welcome. Yeah, yeah. I'm actually thinking about like doing something, like I think Vasiliev, he did something like an instructors festival in the US. I don't know how he called it, but like something like that. Maybe we could do something like this in Europe as well at some point.
This
Be
will be
nice.
fun.
Yeah. Okay, man. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.